Hey everyone, it's Jill, and this is my dear friend Michele Rae, and we are here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And Michelle is a dear friend of mine who we were talking about this yesterday. We've known each other for almost a decade already, which seems like I just met you. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? How the time warp things goes. But Michelle was gracious enough to invite me here to host me for 4 days in Hawaii while I'm on my Trip the Light tour. And I said, Michelle, will you do a shared story? And she's like, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so how Michelle and I generally roll anyway is that I feel like we're very organic and we just we have really deep, profound conversations with you and I. But maybe we can just start by sharing a little story about how we met and just let the conversation kind of evolve into what we feel like sharing today. I don't know. Sound good?
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we normally live our life.
Yes, exactly. So I love, Michelle, just introduce yourself and kind of what you do in the world, what light you bring to the world, because you bring so much light. Can you see? She's just glowing. So yes, Michelle, tell us more.
Thank you. My name is Michele Rae, as Jill has said, and I have been the founder and owner of the Center Within, which is my light in the world company, for over 2 decades now. And I do intuitive transformational coaching, do one-on-one work. I work with organizations, I work with people coming for health issues, spiritual emergence kinds of conversations. I run on the mystic planes, sort of open to the multidimensional ways of being, same as
I'm getting goosebumps as she's talking
Jill.
right now. I'm just like, the guides are coming in.
They are, so we connect on the physical, emotional, mental, etheric, quantum, and guides. And in particular, I think we both have a connection to the history of humanity and the star seeds that have come at various points, as we all know from our mythology, and now we know from our biology and science, which is so cool. So I work with people who are opening their hearts and minds to their multidimensional selves, to becoming fully embodied, authentic, empowered human beings wanting to live out their full potential in the world, and through coaching and also through classes and deeper dives and gatherings. And I met Jill, to your invitation, at a intuitive holistic practitioner gathering through the Metamorphosis Center, which had been started by Laura Strong, a woman who we both knew, who gathered in her.
She was a great networker. Like that was her. To me, that was Laura's magic, and that was what she's sent here, is to connect people. She has connected me with more people, and then they've connected me. It's been wonderful. Yeah, we met at the Metamorphosis Center, and that was kind of funny. Do you remember that?
Oh, very well. There was a group of about a dozen, maybe 2 dozen of us that Laura had called together. She was putting together a speaker series. Most of us had not met. We completed our conversation, and Jill walked over to me and said, "You, and I'd like to meet you." And then she walked over to another friend of ours, wasn't a friend then, Annette Rugola, who's also a light worker on the planet, and said, "You." And the 3 of us, she's like, "I want to meet both of you. We're all soul sisters, light workers." And we set up a lunch, and life changed for me since that conversation. And the organization and the many people we met. And so I'm very grateful for Jill's initial intuitive.
I kind of hunted. I was like, sister. You and you, get over here. I literally brought them in, and we were standing in a triangle, and I said, "I need to meet you. We all need to meet each other." And that's the deal. And they're like, "Okay, sister."
And we have been on adventures, the 3 of us in a larger group, to Mount Shasta together, to doing small little meetup groups together, doing energy work with each other, bringing our heartaches, our
losses, our challenges, our wins, all of that. Yeah.
So it's been really fun. One of the cool things that has evolved in our life is that we have continued to be in small groups of self-selected kind of meetup groups that don't have a leader necessarily. Somebody does a little logistics, somebody does a little of this, but we come together as powerful servants, I'm going to say, people that serve the light and the awakening and the transcending and the whatever we're calling this shift into the new era, ascension time. And it's been so powerful for us to be primarily with soul sisters, but in these groups of women that we are practicing living in this new era, practicing living unity consciousness, where we literally are sometimes seeing each other's guides, higher selves, having conversation with our soul and translating it back. There's been, as many of you know, probably all of you, Jill's light language transmissions in these groups, channelings that come in again from these multidimensional guides and ascended masters. It's been unbelievably clarifying in our lives, in my life, and also at a very human level. We hold each other accountable. We challenge. Are we whining too long? Is our ego taken over? Are we wallowing, and also just to, like, if we do an inner reflection and witness, right, we can kind of see ourselves, we can notice our patterns. But if we have a soul person in that kind of safe and sacred space and contract, they can literally be our witness back to us, just like we can reflect to us and see things from a whole new perspective. It's been so, one, healing, and two, empowering to be able to bring my whole authentic self to my relationship with you, Jill.
Same.
And to be invited to continue to step into my power, even in, again, all the losses or sorrow or things we outgrow.
Right.
There's been grief around that, relationships we've outgrown, jobs we've outgrown.
So true. And I feel, excuse me, that we specifically have this little group of women. I think there's 7 of us total that we try to connect every couple weeks on Zoom, and we're mostly from Minnesota, but we have kind of started to spread out, Ohio and Texas, and moving around. But what I have found so helpful is kind of what you've mentioned. It's like we show up, we don't have an agenda, we don't have a certain like team leader. We show up authentically, and we kind of just we're being, and we allow to see what surfaces. And what fascinates me, Michele, and I know you know this, there always seems to be a thread or a theme that weaves through each of us. Like, we're all going through different things, and some of us might have these awesome wins, and some people are crying on the call because they're going through some really heartache, pain, suffering. But there's this theme that seems to emerge. And so I feel like there's this authentic, organic life lesson of just being real and not having this agenda. Like, today we're going to talk about the chakras and what is going on with you. It's none of that. We show up in this way. But what I appreciate about that is it feels safe, and we can be vulnerable, and we can be held accountable too. But I think it's so important. I mean, I work mainly with women. I work with men too, but I feel like women groups, female groups, and we're moving into this divine feminine energy on the planet. And I think it's so important to have any type of friendship support group. Do you know what I'm saying, Michele?
Absolutely.
And I know that you, part of your work, you do that. I have women coaching group circles, and I've heard from different participants and women that are in the groups on how valuable it is. Because I think that, yes, we need to do our own work, but when we can collaborate and share and talk with other people, like you said, they can be the mirror, the witness back to us. And sometimes, I was saying to Michele earlier that we can be so in our own energy field and our own pain or sorrow or emotion. It could be heightened emotion of just so much excitement that we kind of can't see everything. You know what I mean? Like, our emotions can sometimes blind us or just keep us in this little bit of a cloud. And so I think having groups that feeds your soul, that support you on all levels, and it's so important to find women and friendships that don't judge and really allow you to show up where you are.
Absolutely. And one of the cool things is that we still discern.
Right.
I mean, that's the fun of being human. If we get out of our ego forward living and move into this interconnected, light-centered energy presence, right? Deep levels of truth, we still discern, whether it's in a coaching session or
Right.
with each other, it's like sometimes it's just a big hug we need,
Yep.
right? In that moment of celebration or pain. And other times it's sort of a poke
Yeah.
to think about or challenge.
Right.
And so it's this really gentle, in the moment,
Mhm.
what's authentic right now
Right.
way of living. And it's translated for both Jill and I into our friendship continues to grow deeper and more magical.
Yep.
We share stories often about the synchronicities,
Oh.
the magic that shows up all day long because we're paying attention in that way.
Yep.
Because we're not trapped in the judgment.
Yep.
We're not,
or the negativity or the what's not working. That's what I think is key. It's like if you constantly, it's like what you put your attention on is going to just multiply more. So if you're like, this isn't working and I hate this and my job sucks and my relationships are bad, and if you keep focusing there, the universe will be like, I'll continue to show you what you believe in or what you choose to put your energy and focus on. And so I feel like the group has helped me know and understand, like, where do I want to focus? What, and I want to see magic, and I see it all day long, like daily. There's magical synchronicities and beauty, and I call people earth angels. You pointed that out to me the other day. You said, Jill, I love how you call people earth angels, and I have such a strong belief in that. So what that is human beings. They're just so delightful, and they show up. They're total strangers that show up in your life and are like an angel, and they are helpful, kind, generous, thoughtful, whatever. But I'm traveling a lot, and there's a video I put out with the traveling empath. It's about setting your space before you travel. And I literally say, I am so open to receive, gifts from earth angels or meeting earth angels on my travel. And all day long, they show up. They really do. But it's back to what you were saying, Michelle. It's where are we holding our attention and our focus?
Exactly.
And it's that the gifts that show up in our lives. And so, where, like, checking in, where do you feel that's happening in your life? Or maybe where do you feel like there's room for improvement, right? What do you feel is like one of those things that you wish you had known about, like when you were younger, that you could, like, words of wisdom that you could share? Maybe it's just what we're talking about, but you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you have to kind of ponder on that question. It's like, what do I wish I knew when I was younger that would help me move into, I feel like there's so much new energy coming in the planet, and we're having to navigate differently, is this all brand new to us?
It is. Jill and I talk about jumping timelines, right? There's a path we're on, and then it's influenced by another path, and we're living in simultaneous possibilities. So to be able to feel right now that all of these possibilities coexist inside of my awareness, and that through this intention, just like Jill's teaching us about, and where we place our attention and awareness is which timeline literally comes into our manifest world. I think if I were to answer your question about what I wish I knew earlier, I wish that my underlying beliefs that were so self-sabotaging were more in my awareness. And in particular, they all said in some way or another, if you are authentic, if you show up as light, if you show up as an intuitive or an empath, you will be shunned, you will lose your job, you won't find a partner.
You'll be burned at the stake. You know what I mean? Like in the old days. Like,
and that cellular memory, to your point, all the way up to what I was taught as a woman growing up in the 60s, right? And reinforced by society or the communities I was in. And the more and more and more I was able to undo that conditioning and didn't believe that anymore, and just thought, this is so exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm going to just be me, and whatever resonates with that will be in my life. Amen, period, exclamation point. And ever since that unpeeling has really happened, it has been astonishing, the rush of support from earth angels, from my own intuitive noticing that's not caught up in the low level negativity, phoniness, to be honest, pretend.
Yep.
So that would be my one, and it both personally and professionally, my whole life reconfigured to match the resonance. And then from there, it's just continued to heighten. I make new friends that are more and more here. Jill is on her Trip the Light tour in Waikiki Beach in the middle of a 2-foot snowstorm.
Back in Minnesota, not here. Not here.
And we are, I don't know, awash with gratitude.
Yep.
And, holding an intention for safety for all of our friends and family back in Minnesota today. But it is that sense of, you can't imagine, like the limit of your imagination is too small to what life will bring into your, just the circumstances, the events. This Trip the Light has been, I remember standing in your kitchen.
Yeah, you were one of the first people I told about it. I said, I'm getting this download. It was Michelle and Annette, the three that I said, get over here. They were in my kitchen and I said, you guys, I need to share something with you. I'm having this download. I need to pack up my house, travel consciously, and lay a crystal grid down across the United States. Absolutely. To open heart energy, raise the vibration for a new world to emerge. And it was like scary, but at this time I feel so called to it. And to your point, I feel like once I said yes to this, because I felt the draw so much, even though it was scary, it's like my ego, my mind was trying to protect me and say, no, don't do that. That's stupid. Like, why would you pack up your house? And what are you thinking? But once I said yes, and the magic, it just keeps unfolding. And there's all these star hosts coming forward saying, I would love to host you. And it's been profound. And it's taught me it's teaching me every single day, Michelle, how to practice being more and more in the flow and be authentic and show up without like an agenda or preconceived judgment of something. And yes, I'm still practicing, there's bumps in the road and I'm still like, I'm challenged here, but I choose to get challenged, and maybe my ego gets a little in the way. And then I come out of it, slow down and go, what did I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And so I feel like I'm getting my PhD in learning to live in the flow through this tour, but I'm meeting so many amazing people and expanding. And I'm hoping, like my hope for the Shared Story series, is that whoever's watching this is like, something lights up within you, something sparks with you, a thought, or is that possible? I can do that too. Or you know what? I have been feeling so alone. I am craving connection. I have a client that I recently suggested. I'm like, I want you to connect with your friends and have a little, like even once a month, have like a Zoom call. You all live in different places, but we can connect in lots of different ways. Zoom is just one way, in person, but we can connect soul to soul level, through our hearts, through telephone calls, old school, writing a letter. I mean, there's like a million ways we can connect. But I'm hoping that these shared stories ignite something within you, or you have an aha moment, or you hear us and it validates what's going on in your life. And you go, I'm on the right track, because that's exactly what I'm going through. Yes, I feel the same. And so I hope it just energizes people to keep going. We had this crystal, my voice has given me some, so you might have to talk about the crystal grids. We did a crystal grid ceremony yesterday, and I think maybe we can just share a couple nuggets, because it was magical on so many levels. But I'll let my voice is I'll let you share. I'm gonna take a drink.
It's morning here. This is our first time we're chatting, to be honest. And yesterday we found a park. We decided to stay in Waikiki Beach rather than go to a more isolated park. There's many around the island. And found a huge banyan tree and went in the center of it. And the banyan trees have limbs that grow out, and then down go these root systems that are kind of mangled together, and they're all over. It must have been, I don't know.
I have 30, like 25 to 30 different, and they look like other trees, but they grow down, not up. And unbelievable.
So Jill felt into and has her dowsing rods and found the perfect spot sort of in the center of this tree area, and sat down. We cleaned up a bit. The tree talked to us. The birds were very loud. They came and gathered with us. the ceremony that Jill brought us through, there were 5 of us live on the call, was meeting 7 ascended masters and got gifts and conversation with each of them on all of our multidimensional levels. There were so many ahas in our share from everyone who participated.
Yeah.
It was profound. And this grandmother tree we talked to said she would take this crystalline energy that Jill planted, and all of us sent an intention into the earth, and she would radiate out the energy to all of the trees, all of life here on the island, throughout all of the Hawaiian Islands, connected back to the 4 places that you've gridded as
Anchor points,
anchor points in the US, and then connected all of that to all the crystals that Jill has laid on this Triptolite tour to have this grid system, this network of raised frequency. And the tree also told us that she's connected to other islands here in the South Pacific, and that it would go far beyond what is now US territory that she is connected to. So it was a profound, the light language transmission I'll let you talk about. You had said came through as sort of native Hawaiian in
in Kauai, same thing. And then here it was this it felt like native Hawaiian. It was a new light language that came through. That was the first one. And then there were some other light languages that felt more familiar that came through in number 2 and number 3. But it just felt, every crystal grid ceremony I do feels so energetically different, but powerful in its own way, very unique. And, you know, the people that attend these crystal grid ceremonies, yes, they're participating and they're, you know, sharing their intention and love and light, but everybody receives their own gifts along the way too. So it's like an energetic boost for people to continue to work with their own energy systems to move forward in their evolutionary process, their spiritual path and journey, whatever it might be. But it's about this collective, you know, and that's the thing I remember early on, this isn't about me, even though I'm kind of the one zipping around doing, you know, going around from place to place. This is about community. This is about the conscious collective. And, you know, everybody's kind of bringing forth their powerful intentions to open our hearts and connect to each other in a new way. Because again, back to our very beginning conversation, it's like where we're placing our energy is where it goes. And there's so much, let's be real, like there's a lot going on in the world that's not favorable. It's not lovely to listen to and hear, but sometimes it's necessary for things to come up so we can heal them, work with them, purge them, move through them. But the key is to not get stuck into that arena of negativity and just be like, oh my gosh, it's like getting sucked into the drama vacuum, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I see, I know, and I understand that this is here. So it's not about denial. We're not doing that, but it's saying, I see that, but I choose to be over here and say, I would love for a new world to emerge that's a brighter space that's supportive for everybody, you know? And it's not just like only this group. It's like all, like, can we have some peace and harmony and love and light and compassion for everybody? Like, can you imagine if if everybody loved everybody? I know that sounds so like 1960s, but maybe I'm reincarnated from somebody from the 60s. Peace, love, and light. But you know what I mean? That's where I feel.
And I feel like the grandmother tree taught us that same thing. When we were talking to her, she said, there's been a lot of pain on the island.
And suffering and
disrespect, you know, really,
disregard.
Exactly. And so we've been doing that as a people to our land. And she had both exactly what you're talking about, our inner experience as a human being vessel. She was teaching us or reminding us about that there has been this incredible pain and disrespect and disregard. And simultaneously, she has grown for 100, 200 years. And the shared biosystem, right, under the earth, on top of the earth of this tree is reminding us, I take in pure light and turn it into matter, right? And my roots go deep and we share. So simultaneously, she was teaching us, reminding us, yes, there's no spiritual bypass here, as Jill has said. We're with the pain and suffering, whether it's our own or our collective, just as the tree is. And what's simultaneously happening is she is growing. She is amplifying and accelerating her own process. And that's what you're saying. The energy work that you're doing in this infinity sign was very powerful. It's a continual giving and taking, sharing and receiving. And the energy of it is equal. All human beings count equally to the trees, to the crystals, to the dolphins, to the whales. And that's where we're heading. So one of the other pieces that you said I'm going to weave back into our figure 8 here is all shall be well. We have what it takes to have a deep trust in the process. And you were talking about all the little earth catastrophes that, you know, had a beginning, middle, and end, that you knew as things come up that you'll have to leave a Airbnb because there's mold, right? And now you don't know where you're going to stay. I mean, things happen, but you are demonstrating to us on this Trip the Light tour that you have whatever it takes in that moment to move on, to resolve, to solve. And I think that basic trust for us is being asked that we find and live from. That no matter what comes up that has a beginning, middle, and end, stay plugged in, hardwired into that aspect of ourselves that has a way to move forward. And I love, again, the lesson from the grandmother tree and you that says, this isn't woo-woo, nobody's doing something to anyone. Right. This is about amplifying and accelerating our natural process to be fully blossomed, to keep with our metaphor of trees, right? To individually as human beings open all the way so that we are giving our fruit, our seeds to the world. And that's what you are calling us to do, Jill.
Yeah, thank you. So what I love about Michele, is like, she reminds me of like this wise sage, and her words of wisdom are so deep and profound. And I love when you speak, and that's why I'm like, you go. Because I mean, you all have been listening to both of us have this conversation, but Michele has this gift of words in how she puts things together and how it is delivered. I feel like your words are like a channeling of a song or ancient mysteries that come forward. So that's the most, I mean, I love you a lot, but that is one of your gifts that I adore and appreciate so much. So thank you for putting that out there. But back to that infinity sign that we are working with, that is one thing too. I like how you just said it. It's for us to kind of blossom into our own being. But remembering that infinity sign is like, we can give and we can receive. And when we're in that balance, that is a beautiful place to be, you know. And I was sharing yesterday with the crystal grid, it's laid out, it's connecting, there's this energy of all these people who are putting their intentions into this crystal. And it's not a specific, like, I want this for this person or this group. It's not that. It's like, I want love. I want, you know, beautiful compassion to happen. And we can tap into that or give to it. You know what I mean? We're in that beautiful flow of energy. So remember that infinity sign in your lives and think about how you're giving and receiving, because it's important to do both. And sometimes people are overgivers and oh no, I can't, not me. I receive. Like, I think a lot of people, that's hard.
Right.
I do.
Absolutely. And that channel of the infinity sign widens when we receive, because we can't really receive more than we can give. It has to be a flow. We can't get depleted either direction. Right. So if we're hoarders and takers and feel victim, right? Yep. It sucks it narrow. Yep. And if we overgive, it also sucks
and don't take care of ourselves, or just like, no, I can't. Either way, it's a no bueno. You need to find, let that, the two sides of that infinity sign need to be kind of in balance.
Exactly.
And that's a practice in itself.
Huge.
But I think having that just in your mindset is like, I choose to give and receive in this beautiful harmony. I think there's magic there, but awareness around, are you taking and hoarding? Are you over giving? Find your jam, but find your balance in that. I think it's so important. And that's what this tour, I think, is well, it's certainly I'm practicing receiving on this tour because I was saying, Michele, yesterday, this tour is possible because of the star hosts who are hosting me. I'm receiving. I've been receiving so much from you and Rube while I'm here, and all of the star hosts that have been hosting me. And I have in my past, like I've been practicing for quite a while on the receiving, because I was an overgiver. I'll admit that's where I was at. But I have been practicing for maybe 7-8 years on finding my balance with that. But this tour, I have been saying yes to a lot of receiving in that capacity. And I remember I had this conversation with a friend or a client, I don't remember who it was, but they were an overgiver. And I'm like, when you stop somebody from giving to you, you're stopping their flow of that process. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like that's a disservice to somebody if they want to give to you and you're like, no, I couldn't. That you're dishonoring. And as we know, giving feels good, and and that's part of the flow and the balance. So we need to find our sweet spot in that. But anyway, are there any other final little words of wisdom that you want to share, or anything else before we wrap this up?
I'm going to just reiterate what you said, Jill, that as people listen to us and the magic in our lives, to really take this in and know that your magic is unique. What does your life look like when you are living a moment that's fully authentic and empowered? And what are your gifts to the planet? They're all unique, and we're all plugged into the same flow. So hopefully through our expression of our love and gratitude for this beautiful friendship today, Jill, you can be inspired to step more fully into your power.
That's awesome. I'm going to just leave it at that. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I know I did. I love it. We could do this all day long.
We do this
maybe
all
we'll
day
do
long.
it next week. I know, exactly. But thank you for watching and listening, and have a great day, everybody. Bye.